Okay, this is a demonstration video that will show you how to sew a lapped zipper into the side seam of a skirt. Okay, and I believe in my original instructions I was going to have you guys cut a full front and a full back to this skirt, but instead I changed it so we just wouldn't have as many pieces to cut and hopefully less stress on you by only doing a half of the front and half the back, and then we're putting the zipper into the side seam. So hopefully when you cut your fabric and when you line up your right sides together, you will be placing your center seams, and you'll have the curved seam with the right sides together. So hopefully that will be the case. And I'm sure that everyone shouldn't have any problems with this, so I'm not overly concerned. Now the first thing that we need to do is we're going to need to do some stay stitching along the top, and we're just going to do that along both pieces along the 1/4 inch seam allowance line. So in case you haven't changed your foot back, you want to go ahead and put in your regular presser foot at this time, and then we're just going to do a quick row of stay stitching at the 1/4 inch marking. I want to make sure I have mine lined up right. And I'm not going to worry about doing any back stitching or anything like that. I'm just going to go ahead and stay stitch along the top edge, so along that waistline. And then again, when I get to the end, I'm going to, where's my presser foot, I'm not going to worry about back stitching because that part is going to go into the seam. And then I'm going to do my stay stitching on my front piece as well. And I'm going to go ahead and stitch from the center front to the side seam, just to keep my stitching directions consistent. Go ahead and lower that. Not worried about back stitching or anything. And when I get to this side, I'm just going to finish it out. And again, no back stitching on the side seam either. Okay, now I'm ready to go ahead and construct my my side seam, and we're following kind of the same procedure as what we did before. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my back skirt piece with my waistline across the top. I'm going to go ahead and place that down with the right sides facing up, and then I'm going to take my skirt front and I'm going to lay that down so that my side seams match up. I'm not so concerned with the top of the waistband matching up. I am only concerned with this side seam, and you always know if you have where your side seam is on your pieces, because your center front and your center back will typically always be straight up and down, but then here, let's look at our patterns, will always be straight up and down, and then your side seams will always have a slight curve, and that's to accommodate for the roundness of the hips. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and I'm going to go ahead and put pins all up and down this side. And I'm gonna flip my sample over, so I'm actually pinning starting at the bottom, because this is the way that I'm going to be stitching it together. So I'm just going to go ahead and put some pins in along this raw edge to hold things together, because we're going to be assembling our skirt just like we did with the bodice, starting from the bottom and stitching up to where that skirt notch is. So hopefully when you cut out your pattern, you identify these notch points on both of your side seams here, and you did a little notch out of those. Let me make sure I have mine. Yep, my notches are lining up perfectly. And I'm just going to go ahead and start at the bottom of my skirt, working backwards to the top, and I'm going to start at 2.5 inch stitches, and then when I get to that notch, I'm going to turn over and adjust to a basting. So I'm going to go ahead and do a quick back stitch at the bottom of this seam, and then I'll get my pins a little closer, and then as I get close to that notch, let's see, where's that notch at? It's probably maybe 2.5, 3 inches from the bottom. And then when I get to that notch, what I'm going to do is I'm then going to do some back stitching again. And then I'm going to stop with my needle in the down position, increase my stitch length so that it's basting, so about at 4. And I'm just going to continue closing this seam. Alright, now remember, when you're stitching around that curve of the hip area, make sure you go slow so that you can keep that that 5/8 inch seam allowance consistent. So I'm just going to go ahead and slowly working my way around there, and then I can also see that I'd done a notch at the top to where my 5/8 matched up. So I'm also not going to worry about back stitching at the top of there because we'll be removing it before too long. So I'm going to trim up my thread tails, then I'm going to the back side of my fabric sample, and starting at the top or the bottom, whatever you want, you're just going to clip those bobbin threads at about every 1/2 inch so that they will be easy peasy to remove once we get this zipper put into place. And you might be thinking to yourself, Rachel, we're supposed to be doing a different zipper. We're doing the lap zipper, not the centered zipper. But you start these both in the exact same way. So we'll be doing some different motions here before you know it. So never fear. All right, now what we're going to do is we want to, let me get my patterns out of the way. The next thing that we want to do is we want to go ahead and press this seam open. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, and I would also, what I've found to be helpful for just pressing around a curve is I do some just little snips into both those seam allowances along that curve line. So if that helps you to press things a little bit better, go ahead and do a couple snips just so it'll lay flat. And so I'm not going to press mine, but I want you guys to press yours open. And I'm just not going to press it just so I don't have to stop my video, but I'm going to finger press mine open just to make sure that I have that seam as flat as I can get it. So, I don't know, it's not as flat as I would like. Okay, time out. I'm going to go ahead and just press this on the pressing hand because I want to make sure that I have as much seam allowance to stitch my all-purpose zipper to here in a moment. So I'll start up the next video here in a sec.